Green Lanterns number 28, Sam Humphries writing and Eduardo Pansica on art. So we got the first of all, actually, the issue starts with the final of the 7. I think I've said the last three of these I've introduced. This might be the last one. I've not been keeping count, but this is definitely the last one. This is the seventh and final original Green Lantern, introduced, and it's Kryptonian. I actually made a point of writing down all the names here just because I was never going to remember them all.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, right?
I remember hers name though because she's very important.
She's the newest one, and she's also Kryptonian, which means that Matt's just going to memorize it anyway.
She's the first Kryptonian Green Lantern. Like, we've never seen this before.
That is true. And
so,
to be fair, it lasts about 10 minutes, and then I don't know if there's been one since, so it's not a long tenure.
Well, because the sector that they're in is right next to Zudar, right? So Tomar Ray was on duty when Krypton exploded. So, he had the Zudarians kind of taken off
They've taken that line instead.
Yeah.
It said, and maybe it's because of this, because so we get her backstory that she's an explorer, and it kind of reminded me of Alien Covenant a little bit, where she has this kind of faith in the universe, or in Rao, the Kryptonian god, and that
interesting detail about this though. So they get stranded, right? And they say the reason why they get stranded is because they had some weird interference with a purple sun. Now, we know that different coloured suns mess with Kryptonians in different ways. I can't remember which colour does which, but I know there's one that each one gives them different powers. Like one's like telepathic powers, one's
it's kind of like Kryptonite things. That way.
Like it's like different colours do different things.
Because red sun takes it away, blue sun gives extra powers, and as far as I know, that's red, yellow, and blue are the only ones that I know of.
Well, I've always seen red is taken away so much as just red's neutral because that's their sun. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Lex hits him with red sun energy, and he has no more powers. That's the old go to Silver Age type deal. But
so I thought that was interesting, and I thought it was are they already having effects of that, and we're not noticing them? Like maybe that's why they survived the storm.
I think possibly because she says Rao spoke to me. Like she sounds like she's actually hearing a voice.
Yeah, and this is the tragedy of this issue because she doesn't stick around for very long. Like, I'm really digging her character, and we find out. So we get her story, and then the ring comes because she had so much will by saving her people. If this dust storm hits, they all want to hide in the ship, but she's like, we can't, and it tears the ship apart. So had they been in there, it would have been that's it, the end. Yeah. And because she showed that will, the final ring comes to her, and her name's Janelle.
I'll list them all down here since we're getting to the name. So Janelle of Krypton. We have Aletha of Galactica. That was the first one we get introduced to.
The third world.
Yeah. Zakran of Zaran, who's from Mars. That's a white Martian. Kaja Dox from Yod Kolu. That was the one who couldn't get a job. It was like a more sort of down, sort of more grounded, sort of almost like Earth. Person. But and yes, and I think her mother was mad at her because she was gay. I think that was one of the plot points with her as well.
Yeah.
Tyrion R from Tamarin. He's the big beast-like dude. Colleen, which is the Swamp Thing-esque elemental tree Groot-looking one who can grow, vines and whatnot and branches. Brill of Grenda, which is the AI robot we get introduced to in the last issue, and then of course the final one is Janelle of Krypton.
I think it's interesting that they're all, maybe the plant elemental, all places that we're familiar with in the DCU already.
Well, Grenda, not so much.
Grenda?
I'm sure there is one of the Green Lanterns that we have at the minute is in there.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, Robot Man was from there too, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
And you remember this is 10 billion years in the past, and
Tamaran's big hairy cat beasts, whereas now they're Starfire.
So here's the interesting thing.
Change for the better, I think. Change for the better.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
Each of them also shows signs of a different core.
They do, because one of them's I think it's the Tamarin. He's greedy. He wants the rings for himself. Yeah.
Yeah, he was given to me. I'm the strongest. And then you have Janal, and she's clearly the Hope Lantern, and we see what happens.
That's what sets her off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much
we see what happens when you have too much will and nothing to to base it is that
She's-
her hope,
Which is
grows
actually kind of
her-
funny, because obviously this is the start of the whole ring thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like the cores might get created because all these different people show different,
You can
different
almost
spectrums.
see
Exactly.
all these 7
Yeah.
becoming one of each of the 7.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it obviously, and funny, because we've got one dead already, it makes me wonder, is that the ring? Because we know Jessica's got one of their rings. Is that the
right?
Jessica
Is that
ring?
hers?
Yeah, like, because it's
Which
on
would
its
make
own now.
sense that it's her needing hope to get out of her depressive states, and that's what leads. That's why it could talk to her, and it's her coping mechanism. That's why it calls her
Right.
Jaybird.
I mean,
Sure,
the only one we know it can't be is Turner, because obviously we
Right.
saw him in the present.
Yeah, and yeah, do you know, I actually would really. I'm not suggesting they're actually going to change her into a different color
Yeah.
lantern, but I actually would really like a character like from Earth who becomes a lantern who's not green, and have that be like a main character in a book or their own book or
Yo.
something.
Guy
I'd like
Gardner
that.
was red.
Yeah, that was some
So-
great times.
Not red though. I'm thinking blue or maybe violet.
No, seriously, Soul's Red Lantern stuff that he did
Yeah.
with Guy was fantastic.
He had a handlebar mustache.
It was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But anyway, so each of them have their own. So I've been trying to figure out whose is whose. None of them are. Some of them aren't as clear as the others.
Yeah,
Um,
you would imagine that.
I feel
I don't know,
that the
I think so.
Kaluan she's love, right? Because that's key to her story.
See, I don't know. I feel like that. I don't know about that, because I feel like yeah, it
Oh,
is. But
see?
here she seems she's very aggressive, isn't she? She's very
Well,
much.
yeah, but then so is the
Well,
third world girl.
It's a playful
Yeah.
aggression though. It's not outright anger. It's more I want to mess with people. Like, she even says that at one point
Yeah.
about her planet.
Right. So I don't know.
But yeah, so you have Aletha, who I thought maybe she's fear, maybe she's rage, but then Zaran, you look at his story, and it's like, well, no, he's the red one. He's from the red planet, for Christ's sakes. So, like,
I mean,
this is the stuff that I can get into the weeds with, and it took me forever to read this because I kept stopping and
yeah,
thinking.
I kept thinking about it.
Especially after Janelle gets consumed by her own will. Like,
I think maybe what we're seeing here though is that maybe there's only one or two that we can actually place right now, and maybe
Yeah.
some of the others, as we get to know them better, will reveal their true nature a bit more. Maybe because I mean we got 7 characters here. We have half a book, half a page, half an issue to really get into. We can only get into them so much. Like some of them could be putting on fronts to appear braver or something like that. And,
Yeah.
maybe the twist would be that Aletha is actually compassion, even though it doesn't seem like
Right.
it right now. Like, I could see them doing something like that where it twists and turns it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I also thought it was really interesting that around this time they mentioned that Earth was the center of the universe,
Yes,
which obviously we were always told Oa was the center of the
Yeah.
universe. That's why the sectors were split from there.
Could that have been a lie? Like, they've been saying that all this
Yeah.
time, but it's actually been Earth. And that would actually explain why all these big, giant universe-level events always seem to gravitate towards Earth. Which,
But that was also explained through John's in Infinite Crisis, is that New Earth's at the center of the multiverse. So it's
yeah,
like
true.
the crux. It's where everything meets and comes in. But that would make sense that if this is this Earth, then it is at the center of a universe because it's 10 billion years ago. So who knows what else in the multiverse lies out?
Yeah. That's interesting. If they were lying about Oa, or if it's just a retcon, like, why is this something to do with because of what's happened with Rebirth, that this is now the center of the universe? Like, it's just interesting to maybe ponder, like, will there be an effect for this going forward in some way?
Yeah, because it's not something they needed to say other
No.
than to tell us that this is, it's new information to me at least. I don't
Well,
know if
and
I've been told it elsewhere.
And with the life entity, that was always taken to, I know from reading and on message boards back in the day, people were upset that like life seemed to come from Earth. And here, clearly it couldn't have, because you have all these different alien species. Like Mars has its own civilization.
Right,
There's
yeah.
nothing on Earth right now.
Right.
So this has just happened to be where the life entity is developing right now. Who knows if it's a cycle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting stuff. I mean, obviously the stuff that really happens in the issue besides this is that Jessica's like, oh, I guess we need to train them then, and she makes this big, like, she brings her big axe out, and they're all like,
Yep.
crap, we can make things like that with the
Does it
rings.
make stuff?
They're all excited, and then Jessica goes full cheesy, and it's Simon who's narrating all this, and Simon's like, "Oh, Jess, you're so cheesy," as she like says, if you've been picked, and welcome to the Green Lantern Corps," and she's making all these big promises, and it's only after that Janelle blows herself up that they all kind of agree to be trained by her. And that's kind of the main thing of the issue is like they agree to, and it's actually this really nice this twist around where Jessica, who's the most naive, the rookie, like, who's been scared and who's been had a real tough time. Now she's the one who's going to train them, and she trained the original Lanterns. There's a nice cyclical thing happening here.
There is, yeah.
Again, that's what I mean. That there's cycles going on here. I mean. I think the first of these new Lanterns, of the first Lanterns we met, was she's on the third world. Well, currently it's the fourth world. So we know there's a cycle at play there too. So if this is just Humphreys going, everything has happened. So did Janelle die, beforehand? Or is this like one of those time travel things where Jessica and Simon have to show up?
Yeah, that's
I think they have to. I feel like
based on Tyrana said, that they were like, "Oh, welcome to see our old friends and stuff" when they visit at the vault in issue 25, right. I think it was. So I think this has always happened.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's always. It feels like sort of destined that she has to train them, and that's why her ring, for whatever reason, will end up going to hers because it already bonded with her somehow.
I mean,
here
you say that. But what happens to her ring when she dies here now? Like, maybe Simon can take it?
Maybe he can, I don't know.
Because he's kind of ringless right now.
He is, but can you just take anyone and have it work?
Because he has to be selected.
Yeah, but I mean, he already has been selected, so the ring might recognize that and go, all right, well, you'll do.
There's some truth to that. I don't
Connor,
know.
they're not wands in Harry Potter. Come on.
I know, but they're close enough at times.
I'm really curious to see where this goes. I really am.
I love this issue so much. I love when we can get into the history of the Corps and whatnot. So, I want to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, and of course we know Humphreys is ending his run in
soon.
October. So this is basically his last stretch as he does this. So. He's been building up to this for a while. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. Obviously, there's a page at the end where it teases that Volthoom's trying to get back into his world right now. And I think that's Volthoom of the time, not one that's went back in time.
No.
This is the Volthoom. Definitely. It was already here. And this is why Rami has made the rings and sent them out to...
I think it's really interesting. I know it's fire and stuff that's around him, but it's orange. And he's being very, I want my travel lantern.
Mm.
So I thought that was an interesting touch.
Well, we saw that with the Phantom Ring, where it changed color depending on what the emotion was. So that makes sense. So no, Green Lanterns is done nothing but really get better since it started. Really.
Yeah.
Like these past two arcs have been fantastic. So.
Wait a minute. Is the Earth? Do we know where the Earth entity is? Right, the Life entity is now.
It's in that weird
mountain It's in that
thing.
bit on Earth. Yeah.
It is in Earth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a Hell Seed in the center of Earth.
Okay.
So, yeah. I just thought of that. I tried not to think of that story at all.
Yeah, but...
I didn't like it.
Where are you going with this? Right, so there's a Hell Seed.
I'm just saying, like,
Life
is the Hell Seed going to... Is it there to corrupt the Life entity? Is that why Atrocitus put it there?
I don't know.
Because we thought it's just he's trying to claim Earth. But if this can give him an edge to be like the preeminent Lantern Corps.
Either that, or I could see it being the other way around. Like maybe when the Hell Seed does something, if we're even going to get to that before Humphreys is done. Like I could see the Lanterns, because they know there's a life entity down there, they'll use that to win somehow.
Yeah.
I could see them using that to their advantage, but that's just a guess at this point.
Gotcha. I try not to think of that story arc because I wasn't a big fan of it.
I'm not sure we're ever going to see it again because we know there's so little left of the run. I feel like it'll be just one of those plot threads that gets forgotten, and I'm okay with that.
That'll be really funny though. If like next week's or 2 weeks, like the next issue, the first page is Hell Seed.
It could well be. Don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of just being optimistic.
Yeah.